Good evening, Ram fans, and thanks for tuning in to another week of the Monday Night Sports Show. I'm Ethan Bird.
And I'm Rachel Hallam. While men's and women's hoops took a break this week, it was all eyes on the CSU Softball team, who started their season this weekend.
Following the best season in school history, CSU Softball started their year off strong. The Rams opened their season in the Texas Classic Tournament. Senior Karina Gamboa has been the standout for the Rams, hitting to a tune of .429 with 4 doubles and 4 RBIs. However, the best story from the weekend was freshman Danielle Cerna. She pitched her first collegiate game in her hometown of Austin, Texas. She shut out Texas A&M Corpus Christi 1-0. The Rams finished the weekend 4-1, and after the weekend, Coach Jen Fisher spoke on her team on their first weekend back in action. There's so much growth and work in the weight room, so we really don't have a good gauge of what we have until we can get them out there and see.
It's really great to see such a young team doing so well in this season and the past seasons.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Jen Fisher, there's a reason she was the Mountain West Coach of the Year last year, and she can really lead a team. They started off 4-1 last year, so, I mean, this could be a good omen.
Absolutely. She's doing wonders for her alma mater. Well, hitting the pool, CSU's swimming and diving team has reached that point in the season where heart and grit are the most important things on the mind. This past weekend, the team would leave UNC Greeley, posting a 146.5 to 114.5 dual victory. Veterans proved themselves heavily in the dual meet. Even after missing sets this week due to her injury, junior Maddie Ward won both her 100 and 200-yard breaststroke events, and senior Julia Box also won a pair of breaststroke events. However, it wasn't without the young set of the team that the team would make a splash in the UNC. Freshman Caroline Perry paced a 1-2-3 finish in her 200 backstroke race, while Hannah Skies bombed the water in the 500 freestyle. With Mountain West play just around the corner, the team will have to push harder than ever.
CSU's track and field showed off this past week in the UCCS Mountain Lion Open. Not only did the teams have 6 event wins, but 3 players also achieved 3 all-time CSU top 10 marks. Both seniors Amelia Harvey and Maria Muzio moved up on the top 10 list in triple jump and shot put, and redshirt freshman Tamarin Coriel hit the number 10 spot for vaulting. Team-wise, CSU swept the competition in shot put and 60-meter hurdles in both men's and women's, at the same time winning the men's 800-meter and women's triple jump. After a grand performance, CSU left with a compiled 13 new personal records. The team looks to keep the momentum going this coming weekend as they undergo some long-distance travel to the Iowa State Classic and the Don Kirby International.
CSU's men's basketball continues to prove their place in the Mountain West. After 2 straight home games, the Rams headed to Fresno State last Tuesday and came out on top 80-70. Nico Carvacho reached his 46th double-double game, and now with 8 victories in 9 Mountain West games, the Rams have improved to 8-4 in conference, placing in second behind San Diego State. Looking forward, the team hopes to continue their game-winning streak this Tuesday in the State Pride game as they take on the Utah State Aggies in Moby Arena.
Now, this win is so important for the Rams. After already dropping one to Utah State, they really got to pick one up.
Absolutely. Hopefully they can keep their win streak going, and let's see if Nico Carvacho can get another double-double.
That would be awesome. Well, Rams, we are going to take a quick break, but when we return, Hunter Fillmore will be back with Hunter's Hotspot. Hunter, what do you break it down for us?
Well, you two said it already. The Utah State game is going to be a huge one on Tuesday. I'll break down where CSU stands in the Mountain West Conference and the hotspot player to look out for this week. Hunter's Hotspot is coming up next.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Hi, I'm your host, Smokey Colbert. Filling in for Smokey, because after 75 years of...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Turns out there's much more to say. Nearly 90% of wildfires are caused by us humans being careless, dumping our used barbecue coals willy-nilly. Guess the song was wrong. We did start the fire. That's why I respect Mother Nature and her trees, whether coniferous or new car scented. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
The men's basketball team has one of the biggest matchups of the season so far on Wednesday against Utah State. And that, of course, is the game that we are going to be breaking down this week. But first, let's take a look at the current Mountain West standings. So San Diego State pretty much has the one spot locked up in the Mountain West for now. However, the outcome of the Rams and the Aggies game is going to be very important once we get into the Mountain West tournament. There are 3 teams in the Mountain West that sit at 8-5 in conference play, while the Rams sit at 8-4. The Rams and the Aggies will be battling in Moby for the number 2 spot in the Mountain West. The advantage for the Rams in this one is going to be the madness in Moby. Utah State is 2-5 on the road, whereas the Rams are 10-3 when they are at home. Last time the Aggies and the Rams met up, it was in Utah. The Rams were outshot and out-rebounded. They had a shooting percentage of 37%, whereas the Aggies were shooting nearly 60%. Aggies senior Sam Merrill scored 28 points with a field goal percentage of 66% and 3-point percentage of 71%. It will be important for the Rams' big man Nico Carvacho to do the dirty work down low while the Rams shooters hit their shots and help out on defense. And with that being said, the shooters we've been talking about is human buzzer beater himself, Isaiah Stevens. As another true freshman on the Rams roster, Stevens has been turning heads. Stevens only averaged 13 points in a game, but has a field goal percentage of 80.9%. Also, he has 76 rebounds this season and is averaging 4.5 assists per game. Stevens is going to have to shoot the ball well and might have to bring that buzzer beater magic back to Moby for his team to win this game. The last time these two teams met up, Nico Medved and the Rams had a hard time shutting down last year's Mountain West Player of the Year, Sam Merrill. Medved knows Merrill's strengths and what they need to do.
He's a terrific player, and I thought late in the game when they had to lead and they were kind of, going to some isolation pick and rolls and stuff, we probably could have changed how we guarded, but he's a difficult player. If you don't bring 2 to the ball on him, he makes big shots. He's a great passer. There's a reason why he was the Player of the Year last year, and he looked like it tonight. And we'll have to be better on him there, but, he made a ton of plays tonight and just made a lot more than we did.
I'm joined now by Jessica Mendoza, men's basketball reporter. Jessica, last time you were at the game in Utah, how are the Rams going to have to switch up things to be successful this time?
Yeah, so I think the first thing has to do with something that was out of their control. If you were in that arena that night, the last time they played, they got completely bullied by the student section in Utah. And so obviously, as you mentioned before, they have the advantage this week of being in their home court. Like you said, Utah State's only won 2 games on the road. But I think another thing they're going to have to switch up, which goes along with that, is just their freshmen stepping up. These guys have been so powerful all season, and they really struggled under the pressure that they were feeling in Utah State. So I think to see them really step up there, really going up against, if you think about Nehemiah Skeda, he has out-rebounded Nico Carvacho before, and I think he can do it again. I think they're going to have to look out for that, and they're both really big, strong guys in there. So they're going to have to definitely limit those second-chance points there and just get in there and rebound some balls.
Yeah, I completely agree. This Moby Madness has started to ramp up a lot, and it seems like the fans are finally coming out for games. Right. So that's going to be helpful with them having this home court advantage and with the struggles that Utah has already had.
Absolutely.
What do you think the Rams are going to need to do to limit Merrill?
That's a tough question. And when you look at Merrill, last year he was a Mountain West Player of the Year. He probably will be again this year. He could be. He was kind of the favorite at the beginning of the year. But if you look at it, 50% of their points go through him one way or another, whether it's assist or him actually shooting and getting those points for Utah State. How they're going to do it, that's a good question. I think that's something that Nico Medved's kind of been struggling with all week. I think it definitely just comes down to them, like I said before, not allowing them to have those second chance points because they don't miss a lot. The last time they played, they shot almost 60% from the field. So I think if they can get back in transition defense, that'll definitely help them.
Yeah, their defense is kind of ramped up, and it's going to be important for them to get back. Like you said, they can't get caught in a bad position.
Right.
But thank you for coming on. Well, Rams, that is all I have for Hunter's Hotspot this week, but don't go anywhere because Ethan and Rachel will be back with news on former Rams in the Olympics, and how about those trade deadlines?
That's right, Hunter. 2 former women's basketball players will be in the 2020 Olympics. Find out who after the break.
And trade deadlines are all we could talk about. I'll break down the NBA trade deadline and the MLB trade that sent shockwaves through the league. Coming up next.
I got a creak in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. I don't know what to get on. But if you throw me love, I'll throw some more.
With the 2020 Summer Olympics just around the corner, it's almost a certainty that the U.S. is the strong fan favorite in the competition. But in women's basketball, for CSU fans, that may have changed with the most recent qualifications for the Tokyo season. And for the very first time in team history, the Belgian Cats qualified for the 2020 Olympic season, and 2 former Rams are a part of the history. Sisters Han and Kim Mesteg will be representing CSU this summer as their team was the final qualification of the 12 teams participating in the upcoming events. The 2 played at different times in their careers here at CSU with only a year of overlap, but wound up together again after a few years apart. The excitement and joy surrounding the arena was very apparent as Belgium's national team had to take down Sweden and another Ram, Ellen Nystrom, in a 61-55 victory. Sweden led the entirety of the first half before Kim herself hit a buzzer beater before the half to start the Cats on a 16-0 run to take control. Now the excitement will have to be put on hold for a little until the bracket has been set. The Cats look forward to know who they will be taking on to start the competition, but we'll have to wait until March 21st when the teams will be drawn. And then we'll have to wait again for the tournament to actually begin on July 27th.
While the NBA trade deadline got chaotic, the hot stove sent shockwaves through the MLB. How these trades will affect the Nuggets and Rockies. On Wednesday, the Nuggets found themselves in the middle of a 4-team blockbuster trade, with them sending Malik Beasley, Juancho Hernan Gomez, and Jared Vanderbilt to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Shabazz Napier, Keita Bates-Pope, Gerald Green, Noah Vonleh, and a Houston first-round pick. Then they turned around and traded Napier for Jordan McRae with the Wizards and released Green. While many fans will miss Beasley and Hernan Gomez and are probably bitter with the Nuggets for not using their new assets to acquire Drew Holiday from the Pelicans, there are some positives here. The Nuggets cleared cap space and no longer have to worry about extending either of them and should use that cap space to pursue a big free agent like Brandon Ingram, Joe Harris, and even DeMar DeRozan if he chooses to decline his option. Now with the MLB, the Rockies have been disappointingly stagnant this offseason to say the least, but their NL rival Dodgers have not. After a week of negotiation, the deal between the Dodgers and Red Sox has been completed. The Red Sox got former MVP Mookie Betts and former Cy Young winner David Price. The only good part is that Rocky killer Kenta Maeda is headed to Minnesota in a separate trade. Everyone around the Rockies are getting better, and as the Rockies choose to remain complacent, it could be a long year for Rockies fans.
It's crazy to think that baseball is just around the corner once again. It's going to be a crazy next couple of weeks.
It could be.
But don't go anywhere, Rams, because coming up next, Ellison Hubbard has the top 5 plays of the week. Ellison, what's coming up?
Well, the XFL kicked off this weekend, and there's one play I cannot stop talking about. Plus, my top play of the week comes from another buzzer beater. Find out which game and who after break.
Touchdown! Oh, wow.
we scored?
Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs.
I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine. But I need that back. No. Kevin!
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back from the break, Rams, into another week of Hubbard's Huddle. I'm Ellison Hubbard, and tonight I have more top 5 plays of the week that you got to see. Let's break the huddle, starting with number 5. We have Zion Williams and the Pelicans versus the Bulls. They throw it up. Dunk by Zion. Man, I'm telling you, I'm going to have Zion up here every week. If you haven't caught on now, you better catch on right now. Because look at that. Zion, he's going to keep making plays. Even if it's him getting blocked, he's going to keep making those plays. Coming in at number 4, we have the XFL. First game of the week, Defenders versus the Dragons. Ooh, pass back to Jones off of trickery to Lee, taking it all the way, breaking one man off, going to another man, bye-bye, to the end zone, touchdown. The Defenders came out with the victory on that play. I was watching the game. Nobody else wanted to watch it. So if you missed out, tune in to whatever the next game is, because the XFL is going to be the next NFL. But we're going on to number 3. We have the Hornets versus the Rockets. Rivers taking ankles, making mans look crazy out there, throwing that layup in, making that bucket. Ooh, watch this. No, come here. No, oh, no. Ooh, layup, Rivers. Yes, the Rockets are doing it. At number 2, we have Adebayo and the Heat versus the Kings. Passing to Adebayo. Oh, get out the way. Adebayo saying, move out the way, little boys. Look at that lady back there. She was like, ooh. No. Watch this right here. And did he fall? He got a foul. He got a foul too. Yes, he did. But we're going on to number 1, and this is the top play of the week. Duke, UNC. Ooh, buzzer beater going into overtime. You thought I was going to choose the other one? No, I chose this one because this was spectacular from Duke to come back and show UNC who's the bigger brother there. The boys from Durham had to show Chapel Hill what's up. But that's all for this week on Hubbard's Huddle. Don't go anywhere because Ethan, Rachel, Hunter, and myself will be back with another week of Down in the DMs. Tune in to see if we answer your questions this week. We'll be right back, Rams.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
When you want to talk, I'm here.
Welcome back from the break, Rams, into another week of Down in the DMs. This week's question comes from @JuniorG45, and he asks, what team is the most overrated and what team is the most underrated in the Eastern and Western Conference? Hunter, what are your choices here?
So Junior here, he said that the Raptors were the most overrated in the East and that the Heat were the most underrated. I think the Heat are the most underrated in all of basketball right now. And then on the West side, I have the Clippers and the Jazz. So I agree with Junior on those two East teams. Ethan?
Yeah, I'll go. In terms of overrated, I think the Celtics are the most overrated team in the East. I mean, you got Gordon Hayward on your team. How can you be rated that high, in my opinion? Then underrated, I'm going to have to go with the Pacers. They just got Victor Oladipo back, and I think people have been sleeping on T.J. Warren and Sabonis. They both got 18.2 points per game, and they've carried this team into a playoff position without their star, Victor Oladipo.
Interesting. Well, I'm actually going to go against Hunter on this one, and I'm going to be the complete opposite with this. I think that the Heat are going to be I think they are a little overrated, and I think that Toronto is underrated. And I mean, come on, they're 4th in the conference. They're kind of at a level where they're just tipping the line for me a little bit. They're not underrated, but they're getting kind of closer to being overrated. They're just right there.
Explain to me how the former NBA champions are who is underrated? The former NBA champions.
Before you attack her, she's right.
Thank you.
I mean,
I want to go back.
Underrated.
I want to go back to this Heat situation. I don't want to focus on this Raptors
because
situation.
who's talking about
the Heat being underrated. Just look at their lineup. At small forward, they have Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Robinson, and now Iggy. And then at power forward, they have Adebayo and Leonard to back them up. It's like they have 2 lineups that they could play every single night.
I just think.
And they can't. How are they overrated? They don't get nobody's calling them out to be the ones that are gonna win it all.
Yeah, but you can't say that they're underrated. They're still high up in the conference, and they're not that far behind. I mean, 4th in the conference. Don't start doing that. If you're gonna start doing that, then you come in and tell us what your picks are too.
Okay. Because we're talking about the East right now, right?
Yeah.
So the overrated team are the Sixers, and that was coming into the season. And then the underrated team, I said the Heat, but I really believe the Raptors are the underrated team. Let me tell you something. When we're talking about the Sixers had Embiid and Simmons. Simmons can't shoot worth a lick. I can shoot better than him. Let's just put that on the table. Now, and then Embiid is always hurt, and I'm tired of it. You are big as mess. You need to be dunking on people, not playing soft. And it's just showing that they can't win away. They get terrible effort. And their leading scorers are Simmons and Embiid. And then when we go to the Raptors, we have Kawhi's gone. So they lost all the respect. Right? You thought Kawhi was the leader of that squad, then he leave, and now look where they're at. They're number 1 in their division.
It's also the East.
In the division. Okay.
It's the East.
Then give them credit.
If you really think about it, the only team that is appropriately rated is the Bucks.
Okay.
Yes, and that is very
so
fair.
it's all a toss-up. But Toronto, they retained a lot of their scoring. Outside of Kawhi, they retained a very good team. I mean, Pascal Siakam is emerging as a superstar. I mean, he's very good. I mean, you can't hate on Pascal. So there's no way that team is underrated. They've got a ring on their finger. I mean, how can you say? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Help me understand. I can't wrap my mind around this one.
I'm completely
really
with
can't.
you on that. I don't think you can say that a team like that is underrated if they're the ones that is.
They lost Gasol and a small forward. If you're playing without Gasol, and that's a big dude, then give them credit. They're kicking teams' butts out there without their starting center, who's been doing everything with the Grizzlies. So I mean, that's why I think they're underrated. You wouldn't look at them and go like, oh yeah, they got everything, because our boy James over here was like, Toronto was overrated? Is that what he said? I think that's what he said. So they're not overrated. They're underrated. That's
okay. Let's move on to the West. What you got, Hunter?
The West, I have the Clippers, and then I have the Jazz as being underrated. What do you have?
We'll think about that for a second. Overrated is obviously the Rockets. I mean, it's the Rockets. And then underrated, I got the Mavs. In my opinion, I mean, the Mavs are a very strong team. Luka Doncic is one of the more special and exciting players in the league, and it's only his second year. I don't think they get the respect that they deserve, and I'll rest my case with that one.
I disagree with that. I think the Mavs are a little overrated.
The Mavs came out of nowhere. I wasn't even thinking of the Mavs. I like the.
I wasn't really thinking of the Mavs either.
So that's fair. But the Jazz.
Or they're just not thought of.
You said the Jazz were underrated?
Yeah, I think the Jazz are a little underrated compared to other teams in that conference.
Okay, well.
All right, well, I have to agree with Ethan that the Rockets are by far the overrated team in this conference. And I'm going to actually say that the Clippers are a little underrated. I know that they have Kawhi Leonard, and they're a solid team. But I don't know. I don't see them getting a lot of hype and concern.
Jealous of the Lakers? Or
yeah, they're right where they're supposed to be.
No.
The Clippers are so overrated that they lost to the Timberwolves. That's their last loss.
Well, the Timberwolves just got Malik Beasley. And Malik Beasley showed out that game. He showed out that game.
Yeah.
He's on his own. Okay. We're talking about it. I agree. The Rockets are a little overrated. They're trying to do small ball.
Wow.
You trade Clint Capella to the Hawks. I mean, that's not I need to go play with them if we're going to help them win a daggone championship. But no, Clint Capella was even though he wasn't producing enough, he was there to rebound. If you're not going to rebound for him, then for the Rockets, if you don't want him there to rebound, then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Huh?
Yeah.
You keep talking about playing with all these players and
when
be
are you
better.
gonna try
I really
out?
want to see this happen.
Yeah.
We have to have this happen.
Call him out for
Simmons, you call out
Twitter.
Simmons specifically, and you say you're a better shooter than him. We need to see this footage.
All right.
And then, like I said, the Trailblazers.
Our second question comes from Jackson Pitts _, and he asks, is Drew Lock going to have more passing touchdowns than Joe Burrow next season? Take it away, Hunter.
No, he is not. And then we'll just jump to you because we all know what you're gonna say.
You know, we may as well just I'm gonna just rebrand myself as a Drew Lock Stan account. How can you disrespect the product that he put out? He put out a good product. 7 touchdowns to 3 INTs, 1,020 yards, 204 yards per game. That's pretty good for your first 5 games. And John Elway and Vic Fangio have both said they're fully committed to Drew, and I think that Drew's going to have more yards than Joe Burrow coming freshly into the NFL.
Okay,
they've also said that they are fully committed to players like Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch, and you see how that worked out.
Those guys were bums. Those guys were bums.
All the Broncos fans were in.
If you don't show commitment to the guys playing on your team, then what's the point?
They were all in on those players too, but when Drew Lock starts to lose, the Broncos fans lose out, and they want a new quarterback in, and that's how it's going to happen if Drew Lock starts losing games.
That's just how sports work.
He had a great start. Yeah, 5 games with those statistics, that's amazing. But it was also only 5 games, and it's the end of the season when teams are already clinching divisions and clinching playoff spots, and they're going to start playing their second and third strings, so they're not going to be caring
what
much
second and third string quarterback did Drew Lock play against?
I'm not referencing against the quarterback that he's playing against. He's playing against defenses. And it's like I said, it's at a time where it's not necessarily super important to every team that you're going to be playing.
He smacked all the Texans starters, so.
He played good against Minnesota, too, who made it far in the playoffs. I just think, Joe, you can't go on and say Joe Burrow's going to do this until you see him on a team and see what he does.
Oh, God.
So I'm not gonna count out Drew Lock and say Drew Lock is going to suck worse than Joe Burrow, but I'm gonna wait till the season comes. So
especially if he plays for the Bengals.
I was gonna say it also depends on where he goes in the draft.
Yeah.
Well, Rams, that is all we have for this week. Thank you for sending in questions for Down in the DMs, and be sure to keep DMing us as we might just pick your question to be on air.
To keep updated with more sports throughout the week, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at sports_CTV. I'm Hunter Fillmore.
I'm Rachel Hallam.
I'm Ethan Bird.
And I'm Ellison Hubbard. Tune back in tomorrow night for more news from the people you know and to see Erica Johnson and Brendan Fairbairn talking about who they think will be the starting quarterback next season.
And they're going to check in with Jessica Mendoza and Jason Ortiz live from Moby Arena before the Utah State game. You don't want to miss that. Until next week, have a great night, Rams.